harder with me. Leave that lot. Sounds like a blooming lovely idea, Henry, doesn't it?
Well, in some respects, yeah. Well, the first thing to say is that the White House has already denied that there's this extended, this sort of bigger version of the United States national security strategy. I don't know why they've denied it. It's entirely normal practice for any country to publish a classified, a non-classified version publicly and have a sort of rather more in-depth one privately, if you like. It's sort of restricted distribution. So that would be normal. So I think this is a useful conversation at this time, and perhaps we can over-dramatize it. And the Europeans are getting very nervous about, first of all, Trump's approach to peace in Ukraine, basically going above their heads and negotiating directly with President Putin, rather than when they feel that this impacts their regional security directly. They should be involved, and also they want Ukraine sort of front and center of those negotiations too, because it obviously affects Ukraine. So the Europeans are very nervous about this because they see this as an additional sort of undermining of Europe, and of course it is. He's basically explicitly said that the European Union is a problem, and indeed, the European member states, and the United Kingdom, are suffering from a huge array of internal challenges, whether it's mass immigration, whether it's illegal immigration, whether it's lawlessness, two-tier policing, all sorts of things going on, the whole woke agenda. And so, whilst there are people in the UK and Europe who are trying to sort of counter this, President Trump's input, I'm sure, is going to be welcomed. But on the other hand, it's also something that is seen and is, in fact, direct interference in the democratic process of the countries concerned, most of which, all of which, have institutions which are, in some cases, a lot older than those of the United States, that provide legitimate debate and discussion, and far from perfect, but nonetheless, pretty top tier degree of consultation with all elements of society. So, there is a democratic process here, and it would be wrong of President Trump to interfere with that. An ally and a friend, rather like a family member, will give advice, sage counsel, may even do so quite passionately. But to, as the national security strategy suggests, encourage resistance to democratic governments, I think, is a mistake, and will actually entrench the opposite views to the ones that he wants Europe to take.
Okay, thank you, Henry. Let me bring in my panel. Stay with me, Henry. Democrat strategist Richard Goodstein is here, and also Executive Director and at Unleash Prosperity, Tim Doscher. Gentlemen, so Tim, you were listening to that. Does Donald Trump have the role? Should he just be a critical friend from the sidelines of the EU, or should he be quite deliberately trying to dismantle the organisation altogether?
Well, let's be careful. This is a leaked document. This is not straight from the horse's mouth. So we got to be careful that we're just kind of playing along with this idea. But I think that if you kind of look at it, I think I have to agree that there are some really good points and some very important things to take into mind here. I mean, you think about the national security angle here. Who's the #1 trading partner to China? It's the European Union right now. European Union has increased their imports from China big time to now they're saying we have to cut back a little bit because we're enabling this horrendous Chinese Communist Party to grow and flourish. And so that's a problem. Then you have, of course, the operative of a bilateral trade deal, which actually is way more beneficial to each country. So you have to, you have to take this in stride and see that, okay, there might be something good here, Bev, but in the end, remember, it's just leaked information, and you got to take it for what it is.
Richard, what's your position on this as a Democrat strategist? Does President Trump have a right to be making mischief, even if this can't be taken as government policy, that perhaps there would be an ambition to tease some of these countries away from the EU?
Donald Trump today tried to strong-arm Republican state senators in the state of Indiana in the United States to do something that he desperately wanted done that would help his party keep control of the House of Representatives, and he failed. He failed in part because his popularity is at an all-time low for his presidency, his first term and this one. The notion that somehow or other he's going to lure 4 countries out of the EU to form what? Look, there was a reason we saw when he was president the first time, the leaders of NATO laugh behind his back because he doesn't instill confidence in people. Yes, he's buds with Orban. Autocrats love autocrats. But the notion that somehow Poland, which is really standing foursquare with Ukraine, is going to somehow abandon them and kind of form this other union with Trump and Italy. I think it's preposterous. Well, and remember, Trump took credit for ending the war between Albania and Azerbaijan, right? Something that was a fantasy.
It was actually Armenia and Azerbaijan.
My point is, the European leaders laughed at him at the UN because he was talking about things, or even ending the war between Cambodia and Albania. I mean, he just says things that don't instill confidence. I don't think this is
President Trump's foreign policy is one to marvel at. The fact that President Trump is able to wrangle the EU, the entire EU, to make a trade deal, to open up their markets to the U.S., to give the U.S. a better deal, to give farmers a better deal, is a remarkable achievement that could only have been achieved by President Trump strong-arming the U.S. power and strength of the economy to the EU. The Italians and the Hungarians, all of them wanted to do a better deal except for the EU standing in their way. This is an opportunity, potential opportunity. By the way, it's not even for sure this is happening or this is true. This is an opportunity, Rich, for President Trump and countries to make better deals.
Can I say one thing, Bev?
Just one second, because we're going to be, I'm with you guys for 2 hours. This is going to be a fun one. I'm enjoying this. But let me just get a last word from Henry before you go. Henry, what are the fault lines that distinguish the rest of the EU and those countries that President Trump feels aligned with, as in Poland and Italy, and he also likes Marine Le Pen in France, of course. So how would you describe what they have in common with Trump compared to the rest of the EU?
Well, I think there is an outlier there. It's Viktor Orban in Hungary,
yes,
which
thank you.
I think that there is an opportunity there. Maybe if that's what he's seeking to do, genuinely to sort of hive off some of the countries out of the European Union and encourage a sort of a Hungarian version of Brexit, then perhaps he might get some traction in Hungary. I know Austria and Italy very well, and France is just across the water from where I am now. It's about 22 miles from where I'm actually sitting. The populations in those countries, even if there are some politicians who are sympathetic, the populations in those countries, particularly in Austria, are very European in outlook and approach, and just simply would not countenance their countries leaving the European Union, even if a small minority would. And although we know that there's going to be no traction there, there might be politicians that President Trump thinks he gets on well with and has a good rapport with in those countries, and that's encouraged him to take this line. But the populations won't countenance it. And I think, yes, we don't.
Firmer borders. Just want to bring it onto the UK as well, Henry, because I think firmer borders is probably what I would say defines those countries compared to other countries in the EU. But where does the UK sit in this conversation? Starmer plays a very delicate balancing act between not wanting to accept President Trump. He often says something when he's there and he does the polar opposite the next day, such as declaring Palestine a state the day after they'd stood together in Chequers, when he didn't do that while Trump was in his own house. There's sometimes he doesn't seem to know how to handle President Trump. But where would the UK sit in this particular narrative?
Well, I think that, President Trump has sent some mixed messages, because he's included the UK as one of those countries that he thinks, we are, and I would agree with him to a large extent, we are losing our culture and our history and our heritage to imported foreign cultures. He's got a point there. But on the other hand, we're outside the European Union, so we're not part of the dismantling the European Union bit, apart from an example as to how it can happen. I have to say, I think I'm no fan of Prime Minister Starmer. But he has played the relationship with President Trump, which is a difficult and constantly shifting thing, very well. So I think the United Kingdom is, as it often has been, is rather between the United States and our sort of European allies, as a sort of bit of a bridge between, or at least somebody who can see both sides of the picture. And I think that might feed into things as we go forward, because I think President Trump will find that he's got no choice but to sort of roll back a little bit. You know, as I said at the beginning, we can over-dramatize what's been said in the National Security Strategy, the published version. Yeah, I think part of the reason I say that is because the United Kingdom does have a little bit of influence. We are listened to to an extent, and I think we can sort of help massage this. So we're in a position that's maybe useful to us, but useful to all parties as well.
Okay. All right, Henry, thank you so much. Good to see you. Henry Bolton there joining us from the UK. And before we go to a quick break, gentlemen in the studio, can I just ask the question that our audience often ask when I have new people in? Who are you? I'm not joking. Like, can you just, I don't want to sound like some sort of corporate away day, but can you just sum up for our audience who you are, Tim? Yeah,
I'm the son of Dan and Jan Desher from Lake Orion, Michigan, and near Detroit. Here in Washington, D.C. at Unleash Prosperity, a supply-side economic think tank, free markets, less regulation, strong dollar. These are the pillars of what we see as success. And you lived in the UK for a year. So fantastic. Richard Goodstein, who are you to our audience?
I am here, I think, because I've been involved in democratic politics since college. I became a talking head thanks to Monica Lewinsky because I was an early Bill Clinton supporter. And all the way through the Florida recount and so forth. I was a regular on Fox News. I was a weekly Tucker Carlson's lead guest on Monday nights for years. So I'm familiar with kind of talking with people who don't necessarily see things the way I do.
Fantastic, marvellous. I've not heard the name Monica Lewinsky for a while.
Well, there you go.
There we go. So, okay, it's going to be a fun one. Stay with me this evening on The Late Show Live, because still to come.
We have seen a pub a day close over the last 12 months. We don't want to see that going forward.
This is a very British problem, isn't it? Pub owners deliver a stark warning tonight. Closures and layoffs, they say, are unavoidable, and the budget is to blame. First of all, though, this story.
And replacing the unelected House of Lords with a new, smaller, democratically elected second chamber.
Well, that isn't going so well, is it, Prime Minister? Nigel Farage has torn into Keir Starmer after Reform UK is snubbed from appointing any peers at all to the Lords. So is it time for a UK-style Congress to stop this kind of stitch-up? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Under daily attack, increasing attacks, in future conflicts, those that prevail will be those who are not just better equipped and better trained, but better connected.
Breaking tonight, Britain has announced plans for a military overhaul after a Russian submarine was intercepted in the English Channel. It's amazing, they can't get those small boats quite as quickly, can they? That's going to be coming up in just a moment. First, though, Nigel Farage has accused the Prime Minister of trying to crush dissent and free speech after Reform UK was blocked from nominating peers to the House of Lords. Meanwhile, Labour added 25 new allies to their already extensive collection, and that is despite Sir Keir Starmer previously saying this.
Labour will rebuild trust by reforming the centre of government, cleaning up sleaze, nourishing the relationship between central government and the devolved authorities, and replacing the unelected House of Lords with a new, smaller, democratically elected second chamber.
Well, that was, of course, before he became Prime Minister, and let me just point something else out in case you missed it.
Labour will rebuild trust. Labour will rebuild trust. Labour will rebuild trust.
It's my favourite emoji right there, the eye roll. Well, today Nigel Farage unleashed on the Prime Minister over the Lords' appointments.
So Sir Keir Starmer, always critical of the House of Lords, and in particular the number of peers being put in by previous Tory governments, has now decided to put 25 of his own cronies in the House of Lords, and add to that a handful of Lib Dems and quite a few Tories as well. And you now realise that every party in British politics has representation in the House of Lords, apart from one. And that's the one that has led the opinion polls for the last 150 polls in the row. Do you know what the name is? I'll tell you. It's called Reform UK.
So should Britain scrap the House of Lords in favour of an elected chamber like America? Let's talk to political advisor and author Stuart Thompson on this now this evening. Good evening, Stuart. Good morning, where you are there in London. If we just have a look at the numbers, so peers is about 800 to 830 roughly is the number that there are. 240 or so are Tories, 210 or so Labour, 75 Lib Dems even. The Greens have even got 2. Should Farage and Reform have any seats in the House of Lords?
No, I don't think so, and I think the Prime Minister's done the right thing in sort of trying to balance the House of Lords more in line with the election results that we only had sort of 18 months ago. So lots of outcry about, he was trying to abolish it and do a different chamber. But unfortunately, the reality is these two things just take a very long time. And he needs to balance up the numbers so that Labour has more peers, because obviously over a long period of Conservative rule beforehand, effectively they had the majority in the House of Lords. So it's just the reality of where we are at the moment until those reforms come forward, and they have already started in a small way. So it's not that no progress has been made, but it just takes time, and no government really wants to use up its political capital in terms of House of Lords reform, which can take a long time.
Yeah, it would fundamentally change our democracy, Stuart. But people have had a problem for years, of course, with hereditary peers, and they're effectively being phased out to some degree now, aren't they? Now, but I used to be one of those people who would say, what a terrible idea to just be given this power by virtue of your birth. And I feel very differently about that now. I feel like I quite like some people to be in there that aren't politicians through and through, that haven't been parachuted in by a political party. What are we losing with the loss of hereditary peers?
Well, I think it's that, as you rightly say, it's that sort of history and that connection. But I don't think that's particularly worth hanging on to. I mean, I think that's with the appointments that are made, and again, it's often accused of them being cronies or Labour insiders or Tory insiders or whoever's in power at the time. But the reality is, amongst those that have been put in today or suggested today, as in previously, there are often a few that are sort of more political insiders, if you like, but there are also an awful lot of experts that are being put in there as well. So, the chief executive of Iceland is, is a businessman through and through, a business person through and through, and really understands the economy. So that appointment, I'd be very surprised if people would be, particularly critical of him or that appointment. So it's not just stuffing it full of ex-MPs or, insiders. There are always that range of different views and expertise. And to me, that's always one of the challenges of the House of Lords reform, is making sure that whatever model comes forward, you don't lose that ability to really work as a second chamber, to really put legislation and ideas and policies through the ringer, so that the laws that we get at the other end of that process are good and robust and deliver and don't have unintended consequences. That's what a really robust second chamber helps us to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring in my American panel here, because I think the comparison is interesting. Richard Goodstein and Tim Dosha are with me. Richard, your comparison, I suppose, is Congress and the Senate, but of course they're all elected. Does it seem strange to you that we still have 800 politicians, in inverted commas, who can make decisions? They advise, they scrutinise to some extent, and they revise our laws and our bills, but they don't get ultimate say. Does it feel a little anachronistic to you, Richard, that we still do this?
It does, and yet the whole point of the United States Constitution of having a House of Representatives where every member runs every 2 years and a Senate where senators run every 6 years was, when the House would pass a bill, the Senate would act like a cooling down, kind of like the little prey under the teapot, that things could kind of cool down and tensions would kind of abate a little bit. I don't know that we can say that that's the case now. Right now, we basically have a House and a Senate that's kind of saying aye aye to their boss in the White House, and I don't think we're kind of seeing what the founders of the Constitution had in mind. I don't know that anybody in the United States would welcome the equivalent of a House of Lords. I understand what you were saying earlier about there's some value from people who were divorced from the political process, but yes, it does seem a little anachronistic.
Yeah. Tim, which is better? Is it the only thing that the UK does better than the US?
Well, there's a reason why we separated from the UK, why we fought for our independence, and we won it because we wanted to take it in a different direction. But actually, our Senate started out as appointed by state House assemblies. It was never intended to be a direct election, believe it or not. So in 1917, they passed the 17th Amendment, which then made a direct election for the senator. So we actually started out as having another direct voice. They thought, our founding fathers thought, there was a better connection with the people if the state House representatives did it instead of having a big body here in Washington, D.C. Now, I will say this. There is something unique about the House of Lords. I think that UK tradition actually has the stomach for it. Whereas if you were to try that here in the United States of America now, I think it would be quite the, well, it would be overrun by corruption and money.
Yeah, it's very overrun by corruption and money. There's none of that, of course, Stuart, going on in Westminster, is there? None at all, of course. No corruption and no money being changed hands. But I think what I really love is seeing the look in Starmer's eye when he wasn't Prime Minister, with this clear vision of what he wanted to do to the House of Lords, getting into number 10, seeing how busy his desk was, looking down the road at the House of Lords and thinking, oh man, I can't deal with that. Is too complicated. That would oversee the whole of my term if I had to dismantle it. It will never go, will it, Stuart? There will never be anybody who will come into British politics with the fortitude to collapse that system.
I think because it's just so complicated, unpicking it all, the amount of legislative time required, then yourselves, other commentators would all rightly say, why is he spending so much time on this reform of the second chamber that frankly motivates a small number of people quite highly, but most people don't really care that much, apart from every now and again if bit of an issue or some sleaze or something along those lines, but most people don't care. So why would you use the time when there are issues of international diplomacy, economic growth, etc., etc., all those much more important things? So I think a little bit of criticism for not reforming I would take on the chin every day of the week if it meant you could concentrate on those big and much more electorally important issues, frankly, today.
We all agree on that. Stuart Thompson, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, Richard and Tim will stay with me. Still to come on The Late Show Live tonight.
We see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
Britain is scrambling to toughen its defences, apparently. The Ministry of Defence are announcing a major overhaul in intelligence sharing. But first,
we have seen a pub a day close over the last 12 months. We don't want to see that going forward.
Last orders on the Great British Boozer. If we're not careful, publicans are warning that tax hikes are going to lead to the loss of jobs. We're going to be discussing that in just a minute. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live. Breaking tonight, pub bosses are warning of mass closures and up to 15,000 job losses unless the government delivers urgent tax relief. Well, this is what the Chancellor Rachel Reeves said about the industry during that budget.
And I will support the Great British Pub through our new national licensing framework, encouraging councils to back our pubs and to back late-night venues with greater freedoms. For business rates, I will introduce permanently lower tax rates for over 750,000 retail, hospitality and leisure properties, the lowest rates since 1991.
Well, industry leaders are this evening calling for a 30% pub-specific relief from April. So with me now is landlord Mark Bridgen. Mark, thank you for joining me. How tough is it for publicans? Give us an idea of how bad it is and how quickly that's happened.
It is incredibly tough. It's from both sides. You know, the public are having a tough time at the moment. You know, people have got less money in their pockets. And one of the first things to go is, you know, going out for drinks and meals and pubs, restaurants, etc. And then if you twin with that customers that you do have, that you can't make any money from them because your revenues are down and you're also being taxed to the wall. It's an impossible situation. You know, the employers' national insurance contributions increase has been crippling for our business. It's sort of about another £3,000 a month in tax and nothing's changed. And the rates is just the next nightmare down the road. I don't know where we are yet. I've spoken to the council. They're not entirely sure. I've actually met with the surveyor this week. He has an inkling that our rateable value is going to go up by about 50%. In the report that's about to come out, you know, they're talking about for your average pub a £6,000 a year increase. It's going to be the rates are going to be the final nail in the coffin for a lot of pubs. And actually, I think there's many that won't even make it till April when the changes come in. I think it's going to be a bloodbath in January.
Yeah, we did say that last year. That's the only thing I would say is we said last Christmas, I remember having these conversations in the run-up to Christmas, pubs won't make it through January, February, March after Christmas. They won't make it. A lot of you have made it, Mark. How are you managing to make it? What kind of adjustments are you managing to make?
We are, I think lots are just barely surviving. You know, I've met in recent weeks with lots of people in hospitality, MPs. You know, this is a constant conversation, debate and battle. And owners just aren't getting paid. They're hyper stressed. They're not getting paid. They're giving less hours to their staff. It's just none of it is really working. You know, personally, you know, I have, you know, a wife that works in the city. I have a brother that helps, you know, keep me afloat. But how long is that sustainable? And recently spoke to a local hotel, and they're looking at a over £60,000 a year increase in their business rates, and they want to go 2 years back as well. It's just going to destroy their business. If they don't win their appeal, they will go under in the new year. And it's just, and yeah, if our business rates go up £6,000 to £10,000 in April. I have no idea where we're going to find it, because I don't see an uplift in business coming. I don't see the public in a better shape, you know, Q2 next year.
No.
I genuinely
That's
don't
right.
know how pubs are going to survive this next 6 months.
It's about 34 a month or 6 a week have been closing in 2025, so about 412 or so over the course of the year. And just what goes, Mark, with when a pub closes, because it's not just somewhere that people go to have a drink and have something to eat. It's something much more fundamental. It's something much more human than that in a world where everybody's disconnected and sat at home on their phones.
Pubs are all about humans. You know, we're, in the scheme of things, we're a pretty small pub, you know, in a beautiful village down in Kent, you know, the Dog at Wingham, a lovely village. We employ 25, you know, local people of all ages, you know, from young kids getting their first start in life, to students helping themselves get through university. Then we have, you know, the hardcore, where they've chosen hospitality as the most incredible career. And then, you know, working mums. You know, we're a great place to work for working mums who love the part-time aspect of it. So there's the huge human aspect of the team of every pub. But then for our guests, you know, our team and our guests get on great, and our guests come together. You know, next week we're having our village Christmas dinner, and you know, we've got over 60 villagers coming in to meet up. We're having drinks. We're then going into the village to sing carols, and then we're having a dinner. It is the hub. Us and the other pub, the Anchor around the corner. You know, we're the lifeblood of the village, and most villages, and it's not just villages. Villages and towns are losing the pubs.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you for staying up to talk to us after what's probably been another one of a very long day.
Very long day.
For you. We really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sure every day is a very long day for you, but we really appreciate it, because it isn't just somewhere you go to get a pint. It keeps our communities alive. It keeps relationships, families alive. And that is so important. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Mark Bridgen there from the Dog in Wingdon. Right, Richard and Tim are still with me. Are you fans of the pub, gentlemen? Tim, let me come to you.
It's the epicenter of humanity.
It is.
And all around the world it is, and largely championed by the UK. And I'll tell you something. We have an old saying in economics: if you want more of something, tax it less.
Yeah.
If you want less of something, tax it more. And the Labour Party, now they didn't start this. You know, the Tories have a lot to do with the higher taxes, with the inflation, all of the mess from COVID, from the response to COVID. That's a sweeping charge against pubs. But Labour now is, I'm looking up here, income tax thresholds are frozen, dividend tax, savings and property income tax hikes. I mean, these are all detrimental to people's well-being and their ability to go to a pub, as well as the stagnant growth in the UK. This is a problem.
Richard, what do we lose if we lose our pubs?
Well, you put your finger on it. How much more, you know, every month we're seeing new studies of kids, adults, who are by themselves looking at a screen and totally, they don't even have social skills anymore. You have this talk about young men in particular somehow being downtrodden. They don't even know how to interact with women. And at least in a pub, they kind of have, really it's kind of on them to show the ability to interact with their buds, with women, whatever it is. I just think, I totally agree with Tim. You made the point earlier when you were talking with Mark that it kind of brings people together in a time when so much else seems to be separating people.
Great.
Yeah, and you could, I genuinely, the more and more shops I go into here in DC particularly, where there's nobody working on the tills, and you don't even have to order your sandwich by talking to someone. You can have a guy behind the counter and you have a screen. And rather than saying to him, "Can I have a tuna salad wrap, please?" and then having to say it 5 times because he can't understand a word I'm saying, you go and put it in the screen, and I look at him and I think, I could just tell you what I want, but I'm just going to punch it into this screen here, and then I'm going to stand here, and we don't talk. I do talk to them, obviously, but...
Rich, I'm married because I went up and talked to my wife.
That's
She said it was the greatest thing in the world that a guy actually had the... but it's no one's to talk to her.
Absolutely. Honestly, it is not just about the pubs. Come on, Rachel Reeves, do what you can to save our pubs. Right, next tonight, the West is being told to brace for war again. We can also reveal that the military have announced plans to overhaul their intelligence operations in the UK. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live with me, Bev Turner. Let's delve into the main stories in the front of today's newspapers. With Paul Cox is in London. Paul, great to see you. Democrat strategist Richard Goodstein is also here, and from Unleash Prosperity, Tim Dosher as well. Paul, meet my guests. I don't think you've worked with Tim and Richard before.
I haven't. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Greetings.
Great glasses, by the way. Great glasses, great talk about pubs, and the way you met your wife, you just walked up to her. Very 20th century.
Right, Paul. Let's look at the front pages of the papers. What's caught your eye? What do you want to talk about?
Do you know what? As soon as I read it, I thought Bev and I should talk about this. It's The Guardian. You can always trust the left-wing press to try their best to scare people when it comes to health. And their headline for tonight is tomorrow: UK facing worst winter flu crisis within a fortnight as cases surge. So, Bev, this is the worst ever flu crisis since last year. And they're using words like flunami, mega flu, everyone's going to die, I think it said at one point. It's bewildering, Bev. Now, look, what I want to caveat with this is there are people out there tonight, I'm sure, listening to this, who have got the flu, a nasty bout of the flu, not feeling great. I'm sorry to hear that, guys. Take some Lemsip, take some rest, look after yourself. But the idea that we're going to enter back into this psychosis once again is for the birds, Bev, isn't it?
It is, and I'm quite pleased with the response online, Paul, which has been very much everybody going, please don't try and psychologically manipulate us again. It is just the flu. And the flu can be really dangerous to people. Ironically, the flu was statistically always more dangerous than whatever they called COVID-19, whatever they think that was. Funnily enough, we didn't have any flu that year. That was weird. So the fact that we're now being told again in the UK, we're not hearing it in the same way here. We're being told, gentlemen, to wear masks again. We're being told, go and get your vaccines for this and vaccines for that. And that. The most shocking one for me, Paul, of this topic this week was give the flu jab to children, or the flu spray to children, to protect the grandparents. And I thought, have we learnt nothing about inverting millennia of evolution, which is that you never sacrifice children for the sake of adults? That is medical ethics gone up in smoke, isn't it, Paul?
It is, and I'm no doctor, obviously. It would be mental. If you walked into a doctor's surgery and saw me, you would leave. But if I've learned anything, it's that children don't suffer from this in the same way as their grandparents do. So the story earlier in the week was if children don't get the jab, or the spray as it is, should I say, then the grandparents are going to get very ill. Yeah. Now they're saying it's the children that are going to get very ill because not enough people have been scared by that initial message. So, look, we've all become incredibly sort of, bored of this stuff. And I fear that the damage was already done 5 years ago, Bev. No one believes a word experts say anymore.
Yeah. We've actually had schools close in the UK, gentlemen here in the studio this week, for flu. Because here's the thing, that didn't used to happen before 2020. So something has changed. We didn't used to behave in this dramatic way. And don't you think, Richard, that we've become so brainwashed now that we just pathologise every little sniffle and cough, and we've it's a bit like the pub conversation. It's about our relationship to humanity and who we are as people, and our actual physiology and faith that, you know, medicine is there, great, we need it, but come on.
So I'm of two minds. It's certainly the case that we shouldn't pathologize. We should recognize that this has been something that we've been dealing with for millennia. I will just say in the United States, though, we now have the chief medical authorities throwing cold water on the idea of vaccines across the board. People hear that message. There's a reason that people, frankly, who self-identified as Republicans died more from COVID than Democrats did, because they heard that message. They did. No. That's undeniable. That's statistically
ridiculous
true. And we now see measles again breaking out in a way that we didn't see before in the United States. This is crazy.
First of all, can we just say, I'm sorry, you've got to let me have this one.
No,
are you telling me that as people were like choking on their deathbeds and they were handed a piece of paper, which political party are you a member of?
No.
Are you Republican or Democrat? Can we just sign this because we're going to put COVID on your death certificate anyway, regardless of what you die of?
I know a lot of Democrat voters in the city of Detroit, where I'm from, who refused to get that vaccine at the encouragement of many of their Democrat friends and politicians. So that is absolute fallacy what you're saying there. But I will say this: when you walk around, you hyperbolize when you do this, all the while not telling people that maybe a mask won't even work. We don't know about this strand of flu. Maybe a vax doesn't stop the spread of that. Maybe it's too late. And also, a vaccine already exists. So you have the option. This isn't something like COVID where we're searching for some sort of vaccine to go after. So this is not the same. It's if it bleeds, it leads news. Trying to give the news something to cover other than the faulty Labour Party.
And if there's anything which has destroyed the faith in the medical industry and vaccines, it's not Bobby Kennedy. It's the fact that people were told to give your child an untested drug that they don't need. Try bringing parents back from that obliteration of the foundation of trust, I would say. Paul, have we got time to do another little one before we go? We are going to talk about the mansion tax as well. Paul, what else in just a few seconds? Sorry, that was a bit mean of me to just dump that on you.
That's OK. Do you want to talk about the mansion tax? Because that's obviously something that Labour are forcing upon anybody who's been ambitious in the past.
No. Do you know what? I don't, because it's a good one. What I do want you to tell me about is the front page of the Daily Star with the man in the Nativity.
What's this? Oh, right, quickly. Daily Star. I'm totally got this covered, guys. Runaway in a manger. I know exactly what this is. I'm ever so sorry. So this was an asylum sneaker. I said that deliberately. It was an asylum sneaker. It was hiding in a nativity scene, and he was pretending to be one of the wise men, which is quite a wise move, but he did stand out quite a bit. Looks ridiculous.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A grey day for a large part of England, but elsewhere we should see some spells of sunshine, a few showers into northwest Scotland, particularly this afternoon. Now we do start fairly dull in this zone. There's a line of rain and drizzle from northeast England down across the Midlands into East Wales and parts of central southern England. That's moving away, so parts of Wales turning a bit brighter. Good spells of sunshine for Northern Ireland and much of Scotland. As I mentioned, a few showers in the far northwest. Some of that patchy rain getting to Lincolnshire down to the home counties by the afternoon. Still quite mild here. Elsewhere, temperatures close to average, 7 to 10 degrees, but probably feeling a bit fresher than recent days. But at least there should be quite a bit of sunshine this afternoon. That sunshine will turn into clear skies through the night. Staying fairly overcast, though, for East Anglia and the southeast. Some rain and drizzle here for the evening rush hour, but elsewhere, most places dry and clear, bar those showers getting into northwest Scotland. With the clear skies, though, temperatures will be falling away. A colder night tonight than many of us have been used to. The rain and drizzle over eastern parts of England will slowly fizzle out through the evening, so generally becoming dry. A few more of those showers getting into western Scotland, maybe the odd one for Northern Ireland too, but many areas dry and clear. Might turn a bit misty through the night across southern counties of England, 1 or 2 fog patches, and certainly a colder night. And yes, there may even be some pockets of frost across parts of the south to start Saturday morning. A chilly start then, again, certainly compared to many mornings so far this month, but a bright, fine day for most of England and Wales tomorrow. There'll be some winter sunshine around. Mist and fog may take a few hours to clear in the south. For Scotland, though, as you can see, we are looking at more rain coming in, and that rain also slowly creeping its way into Northern Ireland. That rain likely to turn heavy and more persistent as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday, and push a little further south into parts of Wales too. Bye for now.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Are we edging closer to war? Should we be frightened? I think probably not. And also, Donald Trump is going to be talking any minute now at a black tie ball just down the road. So we'll drop into that as well. On The Late Show Live tonight.
We see you. We know what you're doing. And if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
Defence Secretary John Healey there, because breaking tonight, Britain apparently is scrambling to toughen our defences. The Ministry of Defence has just announced plans to unite all intelligence units following a stark warning from NATO's chief. Also tonight.
We have seen a pub a day close over the last 12 months. We don't want to see that going forward.
So it's not just the little individual pubs. That is the boss of Green King. It's one of Britain's biggest pub chains. Breaking tonight, publicans are saying that closures and job losses are inevitable, thanks to Rachel Reeves' budget. We're going to be looking at the front pages hours before the ink is dry. We're going to be breaking the news before it becomes news. We are, of course, live in Washington, D.C., just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories that America is talking about and that matter to Britain too, including this.
The European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That's the purpose of it. And they've done a good job of it, but now I'm president.
Time for a Make Europe Great Again union. Leaked documents suggest that President Trump is plotting to pull at least 4 nations away from the EU and reshape the continent from right here in Washington. And as this programme continues, we are on standby. The President could be speaking at any moment. He's at a black tie do just down the road. I'm Bev Turner. This is The Late Show Live. Welcome to the second hour. We've got all the stories you're going to be talking about later today. More debates, 0 ad breaks. Stay with me. And I want to hear from you as well. gbnews.com/your say. Richard and Tim are going to stay with me for more fiery debate between now and 2 a.m. But breaking tonight, apparently Britain is being put on a war footing. The Ministry of Defence have announced plans to merge the Army, Navy, Air Force and Space Command intelligence into a single military intelligence service aimed at keeping ahead of rising threats from hostile states, including Russia. In a further striking move, the Royal Navy has announced today that it used a support tanker, RFA Tide Surge, to shadow a Russian submarine through the English Channel in a 3-day operation with NATO allies. With Russian vessels up 30% in UK waters, Defence Secretary John Healey is warning the UK is ready to protect undersea cables. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte had this message for Europe.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency. And too many believe that time is on our side.
Do you agree with him? Let's talk now to former British Army spokesperson Major Michael Shearer again. Michael, thank you so much for joining me. Can I just get your assessment of this situation about the intelligence services? merging the Army, Navy, Air Force and Space Command intelligence into a single military intelligence. Now that sounds a bit like cost-cutting to me. Is that not going to make us more vulnerable?
Well, it definitely is not putting us on a war footing. That is arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. And I'm afraid this is just another MOD posturing strike to the British public. I think that Mark Rutte, I know people are scoffing at him, but I said on GB News almost 2 years ago, January 24, that we should put NATO and specifically the United Kingdom on a war footing. Rutte will have taken advice from the US four-star in charge of NATO forces, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. And to back that up, our SDR, the Strategic Defence Review, that was orchestrated and authored really by the Labour peer, Lord Robertson, he has said on his haunches in July in the House of Lords, the UK is uninsured and is not ready to defend itself. Now, I spoke to Lord Robertson about the SDR some months ago, and I'd read every page of it, and so a lot of it was good. The real problem is that it will not be operationalized until 9 years' time. Almost certainly, if NATO doesn't get its act together, we will be at war with Putin, I would suggest, between 3 and 5 years. We really need to start spending money now. We need to take it from wherever we need it and get it into defense, because none of the other departments in government will matter when they're all speaking Russian. Putin is likely
That is not realistically going to happen, though, is it, Mike? We've said this, I think you and I might have had this conversation before.
Yes.
Putin has been in power for 25 years in Russia. 25 years. He's an old man.
Yeah.
Now, you can look at that two ways. He either wants to cause a lot of mayhem before he shuffles off this mortal coil, or he just wants to trade with the rest of the world. He doesn't want NATO on his doorstep in the form of Ukraine, and he just wants that to come to an end. Now, you're going to call me naive. I know you are, and maybe I am. I do not know. But I don't feel when I go to bed at night that the one thing I should be worrying about is the fact that my children might end up speaking Russian.
I think I did say to you before, Bev, that this is almost an exact replica of what Hitler was doing in 1938 when Chamberlain went to see him about just taking that little slice of the Sudetenland. And we know what happened there. He wanted much more, and we ended up in a war. If you want peace, prepare for war. We need to show Putin that we are ready for him. We're not ready for him at the minute, and I think that was the signalling that the Secretary General of NATO was giving to NATO countries today.
Okay, let's bring Tim and Rich into this as well, Michael, because I'm interested in this from an American perspective as well. Richard, how important is it to do what Michael's just said there about, plan for peace but prepare for war?
Tell me which European country, if the chips were down today, would say to themselves, I am confident that Donald Trump would get the United States to have my back. We know what he said about NATO over the years, which is he doesn't think much of it. He talked, sometimes seriously, sometimes not, about withdrawing. He already has NATO, Putin does, at his doorstep in Norway, in the Baltic states. So this notion that somehow Ukraine was going to change the balance is, I think, nonsense. The fact of the matter is, Trump has 3 more years. She knows this. Putin knows this. This is their time to strike gold. It's not a coincidence that they're sending drones over Poland, over Denmark, over the Baltic states, sending this sub through the English Channel. They're wanting to see what's the U.S., what's Trump going to say about it. And we know that, we don't know why, but he seems to be in Trump's pocket. And we've seen this over and over, the destruction that's happened in Ukraine since Trump has been back in the office this January is far worse than what we saw before. That's indisputable. We don't know why it is. And even since this so-called summit in Alaska, it's gotten worse and worse. You wake up every day, you see the news. So, look, I think that not just the UK, but every country in Europe should beef up, because I just don't think they can count on the US.
It's really nice to hear Rich agree with former presidential candidate Mitt Romney when he said Russia is the greatest threat to our national security, and Obama said, "You're an idiot," and the Cold War is over. Because yes, there is a threat to our livelihood here in the United States of America. But Trump is the one that's pounding them with sanctions. He's the one that is trying to end this war. His guy, Biden, is the one that started this war, that let those trains and tanks roll right into Ukraine and let this massive situation happen. So I'll just say that. But let me just say this. Russia is spending about 7% of their GDP on defense. The UK is spending about 2% of their GDP on defense. The US is at about 3%. I do believe in peace through strength in the era of Reagan. I believe that President Trump believes in that as well. So I do think that we can't lose focus of ensuring that we are doing the strategic buildup that we need to in order to counter threats. But I can't say that it's because of Trump that somehow Putin is acting up. It's not. He's scared.
So, Michael, is it a sort of complacency on the part of the UK that we haven't kept ourselves on a war footing because we presume that America will come to our aid, that NATO will all step in? Do we just feel too relaxed?
Look, shame on the European NATO states and shame on the United Kingdom. We have been leeching off the American tax dollar for far too long. And in 1991, when the Soviet Union was broke up, we got way too complacent, thinking, that's it, peace dividend. We can save all this money. The government look at spending on defense as a liability. It's not. It's an investment. It's an insurance policy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm sorry, but we have been we are walking blind into a catastrophe if we don't waken up and spend the money. And as I said before, we just take it from wherever we need it. When I say put it on a Cold War footing, that means there has to be sacrifices, and it's for the greater good. Otherwise, you will see Trump salami slice incursions, probably initially into Moldova, which is not a NATO member, but it's sandwiched between Romania and Ukraine, and that little separatist region, Transnistria, a little narrow strip which sits along the Dniester River and the Ukrainian border, broke away from Moldova in 1990. But it is part of Moldova. It's supported by Russia. With its supposed independence, it's not recognized by the international community. And Russia already has about 1,500 troops there. He will just slice in a bit, and then who knows where he goes after that.
Okay, well, I hope you're on, Michael.
Me too.
But thank you so much, Major Michael Shearer there. Good night, Michael. Sleep well. Let me just see what you've been saying at home. So we could all be speaking Russian in a few years, says Beverly. Putin will attack us. You don't get many children in the US getting flu, says Sugni. Basically, so many are running around... Okay, shooting their peers with guns. There are less kids to catch it. It's not strictly true, is that? That might be a slightly British misinterpretation of the culture of America here, but I do like the messages that come in.
The highest cause of death among children is gunshots in the United States, which is abominable.
Is that true?
But it's true. It is absolutely true.
I cannot believe that you are buying into it.
One second. That is undeniable. Anybody out there who's watching should research it, and you will see in an instant what I just said is true. It's just undeniable. Look, if you watch Fox News, you would not know that because they're in the pocket of the gun people. It is true.
I don't watch Fox News. I watch GB News.
I watch GB News.
I watch a bit of Fox News. Well, I'm going to have to look at that. The highest cause of children death in the US is guns.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Right. Somebody Google that for me at home and then let me know on the Your Safe if that's true. Get it into ChatGPT. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live, we're going to cross live to the White House where President Donald Trump is expected to speak imminently. Richard is typing away there on his phone doing the research. There we go. Oh, it's lovely down here at this time of the year. It's so nice in Washington, D.C. This is the Congressional Ball we're looking at here, the steps coming down to it. But we're going to take a very quick break to have a quick look at the weather. Don't go anywhere.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A grey day for a large part of England, but elsewhere we should see some spells of sunshine, a few showers into northwest Scotland, particularly this afternoon. Now we do start fairly dull in this zone. There's a line of rain and drizzle from northeast England down across the Midlands into East Wales and parts of central southern England. That's moving away, so parts of Wales turning a bit brighter. Good spells of sunshine for Northern Ireland and much of Scotland. As I mentioned, a few showers in the far northwest. Some of that patchy rain getting to Lincolnshire down to the home counties by the afternoon. Still quite mild here. Elsewhere, temperatures close to average, 7 to 10 degrees, but probably feeling a bit fresher than recent days. But at least there should be quite a bit of sunshine this afternoon. That sunshine will turn into clear skies through the night. Staying fairly overcast, though, for East Anglia and the southeast. Some rain and drizzle here for the evening rush hour, but elsewhere, most places dry and clear, bar those showers getting into northwest Scotland. With the clear skies, though, temperatures will be falling away. A colder night tonight than many of us have been used to. The rain and drizzle over eastern parts of England will slowly fizzle out through the evening, so generally becoming dry. A few more of those showers getting into western Scotland, maybe the odd one for Northern Ireland too, but many areas dry and clear. Might turn a bit misty through the night across southern counties of England, one or two fog patches, and certainly a colder night. And yes, there may even be some pockets of frost across parts of the south to start Saturday morning. A chilly start then, again, certainly compared to many mornings so far this month, but a bright, fine day for most of England and Wales tomorrow. There'll be some winter sunshine around. Mist and fog may take a few hours to clear in the south. For Scotland, though, as you can see, we are looking at more rain coming in, and that rain also slowly creeping its way into Northern Ireland. That rain likely to turn heavy and more persistent as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday, and push a little further south into parts of Wales too. Bye for now.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now we're talking about guns here in the studio. It's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We might talk about that in a minute, but moving back to issues here. Voters are souring on President Trump's handling of the economy. That's according to a new poll. New polling shows just 31% of Americans approve of the Trump's economic policy, and Donald Trump himself. That is down from 33% last month. The President has hit back at this. He put on a post on Truth Social today, which is his own social media site. He posted this. He said, "I inherited a mess," in capital letters, from the Biden administration, the worst inflation in history and the highest prices our country has ever seen. In other words, affordability just 13 months ago was a disaster for the American people, but now it's totally different. Prices are coming down fast. Energy, oil and gasoline. Do you know what? Let's not hear me reading this. Let's hear from the man himself. Here he is talking at the Congressional Board.
Everybody. What a nice group of Democrats. We have a lot of Democrats, and we welcome you. Honestly, we do. And I think we're going to start working together on health care. I really predict that. How are you? Boy, I see some very friendly faces. I see some faces that are friendly, but they could be friendlier. But I think we're going to do great. And we've got a lot of good things to happen. We know our First Lady, she works so hard on making this so beautiful. And the decorations, she's been given wonderful reviews for the trees and all of the Christmas decorations. So thank you very much. Thank you. So we have a very special Congresswoman with us, Julia Letlow. Where's Julia? And it was just announced, and in fact I just heard that she went to the dip room where she officially announced with a very handsome man her engagement. Okay, where is Julia? Julia, where are you? Come on up. Julia. That's a big deal. Come on, Julia. Let's go, Julia. That's a big deal. That's bigger than, that transcends politics. Look at Julia. Oh, he's so lucky. He's the luckiest guy. He's a handsome guy, too. Congratulations, brother. Let me see that ring. Oh, that's a nice ring. That's fantastic. You want to say something?
Oh, no, sir. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. The best president of my entire life, of the entire United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. You got a great woman. He's got a great woman. It's a fantastic couple. Thank you very much. So I want to just welcome everybody to the White House. It's a very special tradition. And it's interesting because all other times, oh, look, I have my favorite congressman. How are you, Congressman? You know, it's very interesting because all other Christmas occasions, everyone's quiet. When they're all politicians in the room, they talk right through a speech, and that's okay. I don't mind that. But I want to welcome you all to the White House. It's an honor to have you. It's a special place. You know, for 150 years, they've been trying to do a ballroom. They never got it up, but we got it off. And in a very short period of time, like about a year and a half, you're going to have the best ballroom anywhere in the country, anywhere. It is special, and they're going to be able to, we'll be able to host this in a larger setting. However, it won't be the same. So I think we'll keep this the same way. But we really did. We had a fantastic turnout. We had 12 different parties, and they asked me to go to speak at every party. And I did. I spoke at every single party. Then they announced, because of the fact that they have so many people, it's 11 people are turned down for everyone that makes it. So it's a very good feeling. But I did 11. Then they said, sir, would you do 2 more? I did 2 more. And I said, did Biden do this too? I don't think so. I would love it if he did. It would have been very interesting. But we have a lot of things happening. We have a congressional ball. We have so many different, but what we're really here to celebrate is Christmas. So I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. Whatever it may be, it's going to be happy, and we're going to have a fantastic year. We have a fantastic year coming up. You know, never in our country have we had investment like has taken place over the last 10 months. We have $18 trillion plus already, and I think by the end of the year it'll be over $20 trillion. That's more than any nation anywhere in the world at any time by quadruple. In the previous administration, just to give you a little fact, not to be hostile, but they had less than $1 trillion over 4 years. So we have 18. I think we'll have 20, but we have 18 over 10 months. So that's some number. And with that automatically comes jobs. And today, for the 52nd day, we hit an all-time stock market high, and that's great. And that means 401ks. That means a lot of things are happening. It means jobs. And I think when the real numbers start coming out, and when the real pollsters start doing the polls, I think you're going to see some really fantastic numbers. And that's good for Republicans, frankly, and Democrats. I want to again, thank our First Lady for working so hard on this. She's done so well. It's the, let's see, she's done it 4 times. This would be the 5th time. And I would say this is the best, although I like the red trees. She got criticized for the red trees. Then I liked the white trees, and she was criticized for the white trees. Then I liked the green trees, and she got criticized, and she went back to green, and they love it. So I don't know what's going on. I think this is a little bit of a different administration maybe than the first. But I want to thank all of the great people in the room, both Democrat and Republican, who work so hard on behalf of our great nation. You're members of the greatest legislative body in the history of our country, history of the world, really. And we have the greatest nation anywhere in the world, and it's getting stronger, bigger, better. And I just want to thank you. because sometimes we don't work together, but we come up with great ideas together, and that is true. So tonight, we're going to set aside all political differences. We're not going to criticize each other. We're going to love each other. And we're going to come together not as Democrats and Republicans, but as fellow Americans to give thanks for this nation, which is so great indeed. And it's a tremendous, I think it's a tremendous tribute that, I think it really is. I think it's a tremendous tribute that so many Democrats have joined us tonight. High level. I know almost every single name on the list. It's a very impressive list, too, I must say. But let me also say a very special thanks to all of the spouses and loved ones here tonight. You make incredible sacrifices for us as politicians. I call myself now a politician. I never thought that was going to happen. I never thought that was going to happen, but it happened. But none of what we absolutely do, whatever, would be possible without you. And I want to thank my great wife, my great First Lady, for helping me. But every single one of you have been helped by your spouse. I want to also thank our really wonderful, great Vice President J.D. Vance, who's here. J.D., thank you. And Second Lady Usha Vance. Usha, thank you very much. Thank you, Usha. Also a man that a few of you might know, not very well, but you might know him. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Where's Mike? What a great job you're doing. What a great job. And most importantly, you have a wonderful, beautiful wife. Thank you very much. Say hello to the boys, okay? It's great to have you both. It was really, it's not easy to manage with a majority of 3. But we've been up to 7, and we sort of veer back and forth. But he's done a job, and he gets along very well with the Democrats. Sometimes I would say he gets along too well. That bothers me. We also have Senate Majority Leader John Thune here. Where's John? Where is John? One of the really good, he's a good, thank you. Oh, wow, look at him. See, he always gives the best location to others. Thank you, John. Thank you for everything. You've done a great job. It's not easy, John. It's not easy. Thank you very much. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Where is Steve? Where is Steve, Mr. Speaker? I'll tell you what, you know, I always say he's got great courage because he got hit real hard. He got hit harder than I got hit. I got hit too, but I got a little, you know, I have a throbbing feeling. He had much more than a throbbing feeling. In fact, I went to the hospital and they actually thought he wasn't going to make it. His wife was devastated. She was crying. I tell the story. I found out that night you have a wife that loves you dearly. I know many wives would not even be crying. But your wife was absolutely a mess. She was crying. She was inconsolable, Steve. So we found that out, but he made it. And then he went about 4 months later. He could barely walk. He went and he played second base in the game between between you people, right? Republicans and Democrats. He could barely walk. He could barely stand. He was not going to be the great Bobby Richardson, all-star second baseman of the New York Yankees for 15 years. And this could only happen by God. A shot was hit to him so hard. I said, oh, no. And it went right at him. He fell to his knees, which was his only option because he couldn't bend. This was not a good-looking picture. He knocked down the ball, picked it up, could barely grab it, threw it to first base. The runner, who was actually a very good Democrat athlete, was out. And I said and I've told this, that was a miracle. That was a miracle. And then brilliantly, after one hitter, the manager took him out of the game because there was no way that he was going to outdo that one. So, Steve, it's great that you're here, and we love you, Steve, and you went through a lot. Majority Whip Tom Emmer, a fantastic guy with a fantastic spouse. Where's Tom? Tom is a great guy. I don't know what you're going to do about Minnesota. Where? Oh, well, there he is. He's a handsome devil, isn't he? With an unbelievable wife who puts up with a lot of stuff. She does not have an easy job, Tom. You are a difficult man. And Tom is very friendly with the Somalians. You know, he's doing a great job. He's a big fan. He's a big fan of Somalia. Anyway, he said, please correct that. Anyway, thank you, Tom, very much. Thank you. He's a great guy. He's done a fantastic job, and we really appreciate it. And you have so many members of the House and the Senate, but I just want to thank a few of them, and I do mean it. I think it's fantastic that we're all here together tonight. We have cabinet members, and we have Marco is here, Scott Bessent is here. We got them all sort of here, every single one. I won't call them out because they're not names that are going to get huge applause from this very substantially Democrat audience. But you know what? They're working toward making America great again. It's very simple. We are making America great again. I saw it today on a somewhat leftish broadcast. They were saying, you know, whether you like it or not, these numbers are starting to get very good, and they are, and that's good for all of us. But during the season of joy and peace, we have so much to celebrate as a nation. Because 1 year ago, we really were. We were a country that was in serious trouble. There were those that say we were a country that was really not going to make it. And they were saying we were not going to make it. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. They're all saying it. Other leaders are saying it. The European nations are saying it. The European nations are reporting that your president might as well be the leader of the European nations also. They listen to us and they respect us like they've never respected us before. So we're going to work very hard. We get along with them. We want to get along with as many nations as we can. We've been ripped off by a lot of them for a lot of years. And frankly, a lot of the Democrats knew that better than some of the Republicans. But we've been ripped off and taken advantage of by friend and foe. And in many cases, friend was worse than foe. But not anymore. We have, I don't know if you noticed, the deficit was cut down by 64%. Nobody's ever heard of a number like that. You know why? A thing called tariffs. The tariffs are so big and so substantial. And it was just announced 2 weeks ago, the deficit's cut down by, nobody ever heard of a number like that. If the deficit goes down by 2%, it's like a great thing. The tariffs have reduced the deficit by 64%. Nobody has ever seen. And frankly, we haven't even started yet. It's given us strength. We've solved 8 wars. Think of it, 8 wars have been solved. Although Thailand and Cambodia, I think I'm going to have to make a couple of phone calls on Thailand, but we'll get that one back on track. But think of it, we've solved 8 wars. That's never happened. And more Americans are working today than ever before in the history of our country. We've never had anything like it. We have more Americans working today than at any time, by far, in the history of our country. And 100% of all new jobs have been created, 100% created in the private sector. I mean, that's a big factor, right, Virginia, right? Also, just announced, real wages are up for the typical worker by more than $1,000 a year. That's a record, $1,000 a year. And many of you in Congress worked very hard, both sides, this year to keep the promises that you were elected on and to deliver big wins for the American people. And Democrats worked very hard, too. I mean, I think you could get rid of a couple of your little policies like men and women's sports, open borders, transgender for everybody. But other than that, I like what you're doing. You passed the largest tax cuts in American history. We all did that. We passed the largest spending cuts in American history. And we have the largest regulation cuts by far in American history. All of these things we just passed. You passed the Lake and Riley Act to get criminal aliens off the streets so they don't kill our people, hurt our people, mug our people, slice up our people, which is what they did. They're not doing it so much because crime is way down. And you passed the Genius Act to unleash a new era of financial innovation. And on a bipartisan basis, working with a woman named Melania. Have you heard of Melania? But working with our great First Lady, you passed the Take It Down Act to protect our nation's youth from some horrible people. And I think, I'm not sure, this is hard to believe. I believe this is correct. It was just about a unanimous vote, to which I said, maybe you should be doing my job, because I don't get one vote. You know that it was did anybody vote against it? Even Rand Paul voted for it, right? Because Rand Paul's an automatic no vote. He's not a Democrat vote, but he's an automatic no. Everybody voted. I think it was just about unanimous. I can't believe it. She came home. I said, I heard you got a unanimous vote. Yeah, she looks at me like, what was the big deal? But that was a great thing that she did, and a great thing that all of you did. Very soon, I'll hopefully be signing a National Defense Authorization Act that makes a historic investment in the United States military, which I think most people want to see. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you in the coming year to make our nation stronger, safer, wealthier, healthier. And I really believe we can work on healthcare together and come up with something that's going to be much better, much less expensive for the people, less expensive for our nation, but really most importantly, better and less expensive for the people. And we have an idea that rather than making these massive payments where their stocks went up 1,700% over a short period of time, the insurance companies, we make beautiful, big payments directly to the people, and they buy their own health insurance. And it's so good and so popular, and everybody wants it. And I think, frankly, a lot of the Democrats are going to want it too. It's been a very popular, ever since I uttered those words about a month ago, it's been very, very popular. So hopefully we can get that done together. So I want to just say in closing, you're going to have a fantastic evening. This food is unbelievable. The White House is known for great food, and it's better than that. And it's a great house. It's a special, special place. I've had a lot of nice houses, but I have to tell you, this house, it's just special. It's one of the reasons that every one of these events, all of them, are packed, sold out, waiting room. They're begging to come. People love the White House, and people love our country, and we love the Republicans, and we love the Democrats, so we love everybody else. We love everybody, especially tonight. Now, tomorrow I'll have to deny I ever said that, but that's okay. So I want to thank you. Maybe our First Lady would like to say something.
Good evening. Welcome to the White House. As the President said, our greatest triumph in my office, in the First Lady office in 2025 is Take a Down Act. I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate your bipartisan, overwhelmingly bipartisan support, and across the House and the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Johnson, and I hope you will be excited to support my new legislative initiative in 2026. Some of you already know about it because it's already in the works. Thank you very much. I wish you and your families a very happy and Merry Christmas and a healthy New Year. Thank you.
Well, I just heard about that for the first time. The only thing I can tell you, I know one thing for sure, Mr. Speaker, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for children. Okay? I don't know what it is she's doing, but I know it's going to be great for children because she loves children, and she's got a wonderful boy, and she's very proud of her boy, but she loves children, and if she puts it out, it'll be maybe unanimous again, or whatever that was, but very close, unanimous again. I want to thank you all. Have a great Christmas, a great Hanukkah, and a fantastic year, but we're going to have a great 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. We're going to make it great. Our country is going to be strong, safe, rich. It's going to be great. We're going to make America great again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we're watching President Trump and the First Lady go from the lectern now. Presumably they go. Do they just walk upstairs then and go to bed?
Yep, they're walking.
I bet she's going. I'm desperate to get my comfies on. I've had one of these on every night. I've had to get my hair and makeup done, get my high heels on, and massive stilettos. She's going to be up those stairs any minute now. You know what I'm talking about, ladies, don't you? Hair in a bubble, wash her makeup off, get her pajamas on, and probably put on Netflix. Imagine that's your job. You can't really relate, you boys, can you? You just put on a suit.
I was saying,
I know it's not hard work. Hard work is relative, but imagine doing that every night.
But I just say this: being there at Christmas, right there in the White House, right to the left is the front door of the White House. This is where everybody kind of congregates. There's a band there, the lights, the trees, everything is decorated. It is something to be seen, Bev, to be there.
It's beautiful.
And so you want to pinch yourself when you're there. Absolutely.
Up the wooden hill, as we say in the UK. If you just heard then, FLOTUS First Lady was talking about this. She talked about the Take It Down Act. And I said, what's the Take It Down Act? And you knew, Richard, didn't you? So this is designed to combat non-consensual intimate imagery and digital forgeries or deep fakes by requiring online platforms to remove content within 48 hours of notification. That's quite an interesting thing for her to attach herself to. I mean, it's a good thing. It affects teenagers, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I know the people in the Democratic Party who were leading the charge in the House of Representatives, and they found it exciting to be working with her because it was something, obviously, it was a 409-2 vote that got this thing passed. So that's an oddity in this day and age to get something, and yet, of course, who would really oppose something like that?
Well, Melania is extremely popular, Bev, here in the United States of America, as are most first ladies are very, very popular. They get the easy issues,
She didn't used
they
to
get
be,
the good issues.
Did she? Like the first term, particularly, she was deeply unpopular. She got a very bad press, is what I mean.
Well, she may have gotten bad press, but she was definitely popular, more popular than her husband for sure, and more popular than Congress. And so it's one of those things where you can walk over to the Hill and present something that everybody agrees on. You get the win, and maybe President Trump will get some of that win. But I think that she's the one walking away with it.
I was a bit surprised to hear him say he didn't know about what she was working on. That's unusual because it was almost a little bit undermining of her, and he's normally incredibly respectful.
Except when she's slapping his hand away. How many times have we seen that? Look, I mean, there's this
there.
fantasy about whatever we think the relationship is. I don't think we should put a lot of stock in these kind of words. But honestly, I hope we can talk about what he actually said.
Yeah, go on.
As a matter of substance.
Go on then.
Look.
What struck you?
This time last year, the Wall Street Journal called the U.S. economy the envy of the world. The Wall Street Journal is no friend of Democrats, and they refer to it as the envy of the world. Inflation today is higher than it was when Donald Trump took office, when he promised during the campaign not just to bring inflation down, to bring prices down, to reduce prices. And there's a reason that voters are basically turning a big thumbs down across the board, federal, state, local, pretty much on every election that's happened since Trump's been in office. And we saw it with these governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, but we've seen it, the Miami mayor, we've seen it in Mississippi, we've seen it in these places that are these very Republican areas, and the voters are shifting by 10, 15, 20 points towards the Democrats in numbers that frankly portend very poorly for the Republicans next year. And I would say, I think every Democrat will invite Donald Trump to come into their district, because when he says that affordability is a sham and a hoax, which is exactly what he did in that rally, Peter said, it's not a hoax to me, it's costing me more. And you promised to bring prices down, and you haven't done it. Why should I believe you?
Well, let me turn to the economist on my right. Why are the prices not come down?
Well, the prices, first of all, what you are alluding to is the 9.2% inflation rate that happened under your man, President Joe Biden. Let me tell you how inflation
works. As you know, not the highest. Can we admit that's a lie? When he says it's the highest ever.
Hold on one second.
Would you please admit on air it's a lie?
I allowed you to pontificate on false, inaccurate data.
Like what?
So I'm just correcting your data right now.
Give me one.
The data is that inflation never comes down. Once you take those prices high, they stay there, Rich. You know that. Deflation is a devastating thing that happens.
Trump shouldn't have promised it.
Hold on one second. But what you can promise, Rich, is you can promise an increase in wages. And so far, we are outpacing, with wage growth, we are outpacing the rate of inflation.
You should have been advising Trump in his campaign to not say, I'm going to bring prices down. That was a lie.
Rich, the real median household income is up $1,200 under President Trump. 401ks are up 20% under President Trump. Biden destroyed all of the real median household income. By the way, you know what real median household income is? That's people who are right there in the middle. Those are the people
and the
out
voters
in Ohio
don't buy it.
and my home state, Michigan.
Every voter is going saying no.
If you want to talk about
Tim,
being
we don't buy it.
Rich, if you want to go talk about it, selling it better, fine, we can talk about that. But the numbers are what they are, and for you to mislead the British people and the American people right now is absolutely 100% shameful of you. And you should.
Can I say one more thing about inflation?
You should understand that.
Inflation was a function of COVID and the Ukraine war for various reasons.
And inflation was less. And the $4 trillion that President Biden spent
was less in the United States. Inflation was less in the U.S. than it was in its part in the kind of comparable countries around the world.
2%.
As now, inflation is higher in the U.S. than it is in Germany, than it is in the UK, than it is in Japan.
Rich,
now inflation is
under Trump.
Okay, my point is,
so where to go?
Trump got inflation down because he was overseeing a total mishandling of COVID. So congratulations.
2%.
That caused the economy to tank. Great. One thing that you probably know,
which Biden took us to 9.
Before COVID, the job creation that Trump saw was 1.5 million fewer than the last 3 years of the Obama administration. That's what a genius he was at managing the economy. The fact of the matter is, I would think you would be nauseated every time he says it was the highest inflation ever, because you know what inflation was in the early 1980s, and it was much higher than 9%. But Trump, but he can't resist it, right?
And it was 2.9.
Okay, go on, Tim.
Yeah. That destroyed people's savings. That destroyed people's ability to go to the grocery store and afford.
Worldwide.
And if you want to talk over me, Rich, you can do that. I let you pontificate.
Barely.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, when you take inflation up to 9.2%, you keep it there. You allow it to stay there, and then you do nothing except spend more money, which is exactly what took us there. Make no mistake, Republicans spend a lot of money too. But we were keeping up with it through the tax revenue that was coming in. But once Biden came in and dumped the additional $4 to $5 trillion spending, printing the money, that took us in the place, and now we are recovering from it. And actually, we're doing a pretty damn good job of it too. Since we haven't been in the 3% range, we are actually in the high 2s. We still need to get it down. But it's an amazing recovery from what your party did.
Well, it's too bad the voters don't buy what you're saying.
Let's bring Paul Cox in as well, because UK inflation, Paul, at the moment, I think the latest data, it's 6.1%, I think. I mean, we'd love a 2% inflation in the UK. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I mean, the prices are still huge.
We could dream of a 2%. That would be. We were talking about Maltesers, by the way, guys. Absolutely loving the vibe you guys are presenting tonight. I'm loving this dust up. It's really, really, really compelling. But but we were talking the other night. I think it was a Sunday night on this show, where we were talking about the cost of Maltesers, which is a chocolate in the UK, going up to £4 a kilo, which was more sort of £4 a box, which in terms of kilos was up more than fillet steak in the supermarket. But so our inflation here is through the roof, and interesting to talk about wages, because when you've got a 2% inflation and you've got a wage increase, you can keep above it. When you've got a 6% inflation and your wage increase is below that 6%, which is in the UK, you can talk about wage increases as much as you like, but you're never getting anywhere. So I would say the US, on the broad scheme of things, are ahead of us for sure.
Yeah, I think that's undeniable. Let's have a look at what President Trump said about European nations just now. Here he is.
The European nations are saying it. The European nations are reporting that your president might as well be the leader of the European nations also. They listen to us and they respect us like they've never respected us before. So.
There you go, Paul. He's saying the European saying I should be their leader. You can see why the No Kings organisation is around, can't you, when you hear things like that? But, I mean, quite a lot of Europeans right now would welcome that, Paul.
They probably would. None of the European leaders would welcome that, by the way. They all think they're doing a marvellous job, of course. And look, we've talked about the NATO stuff, and for my money, that's all brinkmanship. Brinkmanship under the pressure of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has basically said to Europe, look, we can support you. We've supported you for years, but you've been draining our resources and you've not been doing enough yourself. And I think that's an accusation that's entirely fair. Whether we should be preparing preparing for war with Russia within the next year, 3 years, 5 years or not, one thing stands true, and that's that we should always be prepared for war with Russia. We should always not be reliant on the US. The fact that we're reliant on the US is a madness when you think about how big the European bloc is. So I for one, think Trump makes a very good point.
And what he's sort of hinting at, Tim, is the fact that there are countries across Europe which are moving towards what we call the political right. There is a sense of a populist, I hate that word as well, but there is a movement towards people who advocate for firmer closed borders, for lower taxation, for less DEI, whatever these tick box issues we might see as defining left versus right these days. So he's sort of He's on to something, isn't he?
Well, he's a leader. There's no question that President Trump is a leader, and the sort of politics and the sort of ideas that he is leading on here in the United States are attractive to some of the countries in the EU, and you see the benefit that is happening. Again, I don't want to say that things are perfect here in the United States of America, but with more prosperity and with less taxes, less burden from the government, there is more freedom and opportunity to have economic growth, which the EU desperately needs. Make no mistake, this is about economic growth, which the EU and the UK needs, and they see President Trump as somebody who may be an ally in that, and I think maybe he's just hyperbolically saying it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that cheerleading that we just heard for Trump would make sense if it weren't for the fact that in the United States, 31% think he's doing a good job with the economy, and 69% think he's doing a bad job.
According to The Economist, which is a far-left magazine.
Tim, you will concede, will you not, that by virtue of every poll, not forget the polls, when we're having votes, people are nauseated. And the thing that they don't like is not just that Trump lied about bringing prices down. When they see these people in the streets, masked, grabbing people, shoving their face into the pavement, and throwing them to unmarked vans. Yes, get out criminals, but don't do that.
Are you talking about Antifa? Are you talking about Antifa?
No,
because that sounds a lot like
the reason that his poll numbers are sinking so bad.
That sounds a lot like your people on the left.
Hey, you know what?
Shoving faces into the ground.
The reason that Trump's numbers are so bad is because the American voters have common sense. And when they see what's happening with these masked people, it reminds me of the SS in Germany. I'm sorry.
Are you talking about Antifa? The masked people? Because I saw Ben Leo on GB News covering them, and they were doing similar things.
And I was here on that segment with him, and I'm just saying, I think that if they keep doing that, it's going to be a wipeout for the Republicans this time next year, not just in the House, but maybe in the Senate as well. And they can thank them. Every Democratic leader should thank Donald Trump when that happens.
Can I just correct myself? Because that's what serves you right when you quickly Google something or ChatGPT it to work out. Because inflation in the UK is apparently not 6%. ONS, I don't know. Apparently it's 3.6%.
Yeah.
I thought it had gone up a lot. I was like, wow, that's been gone up since I've left. I thought that sounds high, but I was quickly looking.
But that's still not keeping up with wages, though.
But it's still not keeping up with wages, you're right. The last update from October 25, the UK inflation rate was 3.6%, according to the ONS. But we'd still like it to be your, what is it today here, 2.9, is it?
Yeah,
2.6,
yep.
2.9?
About.
Right, what should we talk about now, fellas? How long have we got? 1:51. I don't know if I've lost talkback. I might have done. I do want to talk about this mansion tax, though, if I can hear you, Paul Cox, because you wanted to talk about this as well, didn't you, Tim? Go on. This is about the fact that in the last budget, houses over a certain amount would have to pay more council tax, and there was sort of levels of £3 million you pay more, and £5 million you pay more. And the story on the front page of the Times is that that's affecting the house price. Surprise, surprise.
Well,
yeah. Well, look, I think that this is another folly, and we need more revenue, and therefore we're going to get it through taxation. That is an absolute bad move, because you already see that the highest rate of people leaving the UK that you've seen in near history. It is extremely important to keep money in the UK, and if you continue to do this to the wealthy, they take their businesses with them, they leave to somewhere else, and they take the economic growth with them. This is a detrimental effect. It's a crowding out, and it will be absolutely bad for the UK.
Yeah, okay. How do you feel about that, Richard? If you own a house, you're paying off the mortgage, should you be penalised? More taxation, you've earned that money, you've put it into a property for your family. Surely the government shouldn't take another slice.
Correct. I mean, I think that people should have the ability to spend their resources on whatever they want. And if they have the resources to buy a mansion, good for them. I don't think there should be a tax on that. But I think there can be some debate about what tax rates should be on the super wealthy. And we know that there's been this huge spread between the upper, not just 1%, but 0.001% and the bottom half in the United States. I don't think it's probably much different in the UK.
Yeah. Paul Cox, I want to talk to you, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to hear you, and I think we've probably run out of time. But oh, there you are. There you are. You can wave at me, Paul. Just talk to me, Paul, just to see if I can hear you.
Bev, can you hear me? No, she can't hear me.
No,
Good night.
I've got nothing.
20 seconds.
Okay, brilliant. Right. Bye. Thanks, Paul. Nice to see you. Thank you at home for joining me tonight on The Late Show Live. I've loved this, fellas. Thank you for being so outspoken.
Well, thank you.
This evening has been really fantastic. They're counting me down. I'm done for the week. Ben Leo will be back tomorrow.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A grey day for a large part of England, but elsewhere we should see some spells of sunshine, a few showers into northwest Scotland, particularly this afternoon. Now, we do start fairly dull in this zone. There's a line of rain and drizzle from northeast England down across the Midlands into East Wales and parts of central southern England. That's moving away, so parts of Wales turning a bit brighter. Good spells of sunshine for Northern Ireland and much of Scotland. As I mentioned, a few showers in the far northwest. Some of that patchy rain getting to Lincolnshire down to the home counties by the afternoon. Still quite mild here. Elsewhere, temperatures close to average, 7 to 10 degrees, but probably feeling a bit fresher than recent days. But at least there should be quite a bit of sunshine this afternoon. That sunshine will turn into clear skies through the night. Staying fairly overcast, though, for East Anglia and the southeast. Some rain and drizzle here for the evening rush hour, but elsewhere, most places dry and clear, bar those showers getting into northwest Scotland. With the clear skies, though, temperatures will be falling away. A colder night tonight than many of us have been used to. The rain and drizzle over eastern parts of England will slowly fizzle out through the evening, so generally becoming dry. A few more of those showers getting into western Scotland, maybe the odd one for Northern Ireland too, but many areas dry and clear. Might turn a bit misty through the night across southern counties of England, one or two fog patches, and certainly a colder night. And yes, there may even be some pockets of frost across parts of the south to start Saturday morning. A chilly start then, again, certainly compared to many mornings so far this month, but a bright, fine day for most of England and Wales tomorrow. There'll be some winter sunshine around. Mist and fog may take a few hours to clear in the south. For Scotland, though, as you can see, we are looking at more rain coming in, and that rain also slowly creeping its way into Northern Ireland. That rain likely to turn heavy and more persistent as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday, and push a little further south into parts of Wales too. Bye for now.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.